You clicked on this for a reason. It's not about fear. It's about recognition. It's about something, someone that is locking onto your energy, your presence, your essence in a way that's more than coincidental. Before we begin unpacking the cards, let me tell you to take them for what resonates with you, as not everything may apply to you. So, without further ado, let's move on to the first card. The first card that reveals itself is the Lovers. Now, this is not just about romance, the way people casually think of it. This card speaks of alignment, two energies recognizing each other on a level that feels almost fated. When I look at this in the context of your message, it tells me that out of all the people in the world, you stood out because there was something familiar about you, something that mirrored them. This kind of energy doesn't just happen. It's the kind that pulls someone in without logic, without reason. They didn't choose you randomly. They felt drawn, almost magnetically, like something inside them said, "That's the one." And once this recognition happens, it becomes incredibly hard to ignore or walk away from. Then we move into the Devil, and this is where the intensity deepens. This card isn't about evil. It's about attachment, obsession, and the inability to let go. Paired with the energy of the first card, it shows that what started as recognition quickly became something consuming. This person didn't just notice you. They became fixated. It's the kind of fixation where thoughts loop, where your presence lingers in their mind even when you're not physically there. This is why the message says they won't stop, because from their perspective, stopping doesn't feel like an option. It feels like losing something they believe is theirs on a deeper level. The next card, the High Priestess, brings in a quieter but more powerful layer. This card is all about intuition, hidden knowledge, and the unseen connection between people. What this tells me is that the bond between you and this person isn't just surface level. It's something that exists beneath words, beneath actions. They feel you even when you're not around. They sense your emotions, your energy, and because of this, it creates a kind of silent communication that keeps them connected to you at all times. This is part of why they can't let go, because to them, it doesn't feel like distance actually separates you. Following this, we see the Knight of Swords, and this energy is fast, direct, and relentless. This card represents action without hesitation. Once this person decided that you were the one they needed to find, they didn't sit back and wait. They started moving, mentally, emotionally, and possibly even physically, toward you. This is someone who doesn't give up easily. When they set their mind on something, they pursue it with intensity. And in this case, that something is you. This card reinforces the message in your title. They won't stop, not because they're forced to, but because they've chosen not to. Then comes the Eight of Cups, which might seem contradictory at first. This card is about walking away, but not in the way you might expect. It represents someone who has tried to leave, who has tried to distance themselves, but couldn't fully detach. It's like they stepped away physically or emotionally, thinking it would bring them peace, only to realize that the connection still followed them. This is important because it shows that even when they attempted to move on, something kept pulling them back. That pull, it leads right back to you. Now we encounter the Wheel of Fortune, and this is where things start to feel almost destined. This card speaks of cycles, timing, and forces outside of human control. It suggests that this connection isn't just about personal choice, it's about timing and alignment in a much bigger sense. The fact that they chose you out of everyone wasn't just because of who you are, but because of when you appeared in their life. There's a sense here that no matter how things shift or change, the connection finds its way back around, like a cycle that keeps turning, bringing you back into each other's orbit. We reach the Page of Cups, which softens the energy, but makes it even more emotional. This card represents vulnerability, emotional expression, and the desire to connect on a heartfelt level. Beneath all the intensity, the fixation, and the pursuit, there is something genuine here. This person isn't just driven by obsession, They feel something real, something that makes them want to reach out, to express, to be understood. And this is what makes the entire situation so complex. Because while their actions may feel overwhelming, their emotions are not entirely insincere. As we continue unfolding this message, the energy becomes even more layered, and what's coming through now adds depth to why this connection refuses to dissolve. The next card revealing itself is the Magician, and this shifts everything into a space of intention. This is not passive energy. This is someone who believes they can create an outcome. When I look at this in your reading, it tells me that this person isn't just hoping to find you. They are actively manifesting it. They are thinking about you, visualizing scenarios, replaying moments, and in doing so, they are strengthening the energetic thread between you. The Magician doesn't sit back and wait for fate. They work with it. And that's exactly what this person is doing. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they are putting effort into bringing you back into their life. Right after this, we see the Tower, and this introduces a sudden, almost shocking shift. This card speaks of disruption, something that broke their normal way of thinking or living. You weren't just another person they met. Your presence changed something in them. It may have challenged their beliefs about relationships, control, or even themselves. This is the kind of energy where someone says, I was fine before this, and now I can't go back to who I was. That's why they can't let it go, because to let go of you would mean confronting that change and possibly losing the version of themselves that awakened when they connected with you. Then comes the Four of Pentacles, and this card is very telling. It represents holding on tightly, almost fearfully. This person is not just attached, they are guarding this connection. Even if they're not openly expressing it, internally they are holding on to you as something valuable, something they don't want to lose. There's a sense of possessiveness here, not necessarily in a harmful way, but in a deeply rooted fear of losing something that feels rare. This card confirms again, they won't stop because, in their mind, letting go would feel like losing something irreplaceable. Now we move into the Three of Wands, and this shows distance, but also expectation. This is someone who is waiting, watching, and anticipating the right moment. They may not always act impulsively. Sometimes they step back and observe. But even in that distance, their focus doesn't shift away from you. They are still looking in your direction, still planning, still imagining a future where paths cross again. This is important because it shows that even silence from them doesn't mean absence of feeling. It often means they are strategizing, trying to figure out the how and when. The next card, the Moon, brings in uncertainty and emotional depth. This card reveals that their feelings for you are not entirely clear even to themselves. There are fears here, fear of rejection, fear of misunderstanding, fear of what this connection truly means. But instead of pushing them away, these fears actually pull them deeper in. The unknown creates curiosity, and curiosity keeps them attached. They may question things, doubt things, even try to rationalize everything, but at the end of the day, the emotional pull remains stronger than their confusion. Following this is the Ten of Pentacles, which is a powerful indicator of long-term vision. This isn't someone who sees you as temporary. When they think about you, they don't just think about moments. They think about permanence, stability, a future that extends far beyond the present. This is where the phrase, they chose you, becomes even more significant, because in their mind, you represent something lasting, something meaningful, something that fits into a bigger picture of their life. Then we see the Five of Cups, and this introduces a sense of regret. There's something here that didn't go the way they wanted, something they wish they could redo. Maybe words left unsaid, actions not taken, or timing that didn't align. This regret is another reason they can't move on, because part of them believes that if they get another chance, things could be different, better. This card shows that they are not just chasing you, they are also chasing a second chance. Now comes the Strength card, And this is where emotional endurance comes into play. This person has been holding on to this connection for longer than they expected. It hasn't been easy. There have been moments where they tried to suppress it, ignore it, or move past it. But strength in this case isn't about letting go. It's about continuing to feel, even when it's complicated. This card shows that their attachment to you has been tested, but it hasn't broken. We reach the Ace of Cups, which brings everything back to its core, emotion, pure, undeniable feeling. This card represents a beginning, an emotional opening that has the potential to grow into something much deeper. What's important here is that despite everything, the confusion, the distance, the intensity, there is still a genuine emotional foundation. This isn't empty pursuit. This isn't just obsession. There is real feeling here, and that's what fuels everything else. As we go even deeper into this reading, the energy becomes less about whether they will return and more about how this connection continues to evolve beneath the surface. The next card that emerges is the Judgment card, and this is a powerful turning point. This card speaks of realization, awakening, and a moment where everything suddenly makes sense. For this person, there is an internal call happening, something that keeps reminding them of you, bringing your presence back into their awareness no matter how much time passes. This is not something they can ignore forever. It's like a voice within them saying, you need to face this. You need to return to this. And when judgment appears, it usually means that sooner or later, action follows that realization. Right after this, we see the King of Cups, which reveals emotional maturity even if it's hidden beneath the surface. This person may not always express their feelings openly, but that doesn't mean those feelings aren't deep. In fact, it's the opposite. They feel everything intensely, but they control it, contain it, and sometimes even hide it to avoid vulnerability. This is why their actions can feel confusing, because what they show externally doesn't always match what they feel internally. But make no mistake, their emotional world is heavily influenced by you. You are not just a passing thought. You are something they carry quietly, consistently. Then comes the Seven of Pentacles, and this introduces patience and reflection. This is someone who has been thinking about this connection over time, evaluating it, trying to understand its meaning and its potential. They haven't rushed to conclusions. Instead, they've allowed the feelings to sit, to grow, to prove themselves. And what this card tells me is that despite the time that may have passed, their feelings haven't faded. They've matured. They've become more certain, more grounded. This is not impulsive emotion anymore. This is something they've considered deeply. The next card, the Eight of Wands, shifts the pace dramatically. After all the waiting, all the thinking, all the internal processing, this card represents sudden movement, communication, action. This is the kind of energy where things that felt stuck suddenly start moving quickly. Messages, encounters, unexpected moments. This is where the they won't stop until they find you energy begins to manifest in a more visible way. Because once this momentum starts, it's hard to slow it down. Following this is the Two of Cups, and this is one of the clearest indicators of mutual emotional connection. What's important here is that this card doesn't just represent how they feel. It represents a bond that exists between both of you. Even if it hasn't been fully expressed, even if it hasn't been fully understood, the connection itself is real, balanced, recognized on both sides at some level. This is not one-sided energy. This is something that exists in the space between you. Then we encounter the Nine of Swords, and this reveals the mental weight of everything they've been carrying. This person has spent nights thinking, overthinking, replaying moments, wondering what you're doing, how you feel, whether there's still a chance. There's anxiety here, not because the connection isn't real, but because it matters so much to them. When something holds this level of importance, it naturally creates pressure, and that pressure shows up in their thoughts. Next is the Empress, and this card changes the tone in a significant way. This is how they see you. They see you as someone who embodies warmth, growth, and a kind of natural magnetism that can't be replicated. You are not easily replaced in their mind because you represent something abundant, something nurturing, something that feels like home in an emotional sense. This is part of why they chose you, because you stand out in a way that others simply don't. Then we have the Six of Cups, which ties everything into the theme of memory and emotional nostalgia. This card shows that you are not just present in their current thoughts. You are part of their emotional past in a way that feels significant. They revisit memories of you. They hold on to moments, conversations, feelings, and these memories don't fade. They become more meaningful over time. This is the kind of energy where someone says, "I can't forget you no matter how hard I try." Finally, we reach the World card, and this brings a sense of completion, but not in the way people usually think. This isn't about ending the connection. It's about understanding it fully. This card suggests that everything happening between you and this person is part of a larger cycle, one that is meant to reach a point of clarity and resolution. Whether that resolution comes through reunion, closure, or transformation depends on the choices made moving forward. But what's certain is that this connection has a purpose. It's not random, and it's not unfinished without reason. When you step back and look at the full picture now, the message becomes undeniable. This is not just someone searching for you physically. It's someone who is constantly returning to you emotionally, mentally, and energetically. You are part of their cycle, their growth, their realization, and no matter how much time passes or how circumstances shift, that underlying pull remains. This is why the message keeps repeating itself in different forms. They chose you, not out of convenience, but out of something deeper, something that continues to unfold, layer by layer. And until that story reaches its natural conclusion, the search, the pull, and the connection itself will not simply fade away.